Welcome to Child Abuse Awareness with Darlene J. Clark.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Child Abuse Awareness for Darlene J. Clark. Be a part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Thanks everyone that are here. Thank you, Eric, for coming in. Eric and Danielle. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate everybody that's here. Please like, subscribe, and share this information. Jessica Heather Hyde and Lieutenant Zachary Mullins. We'll get into that in a few seconds. She was a school teacher, and I got a lot of different information on her, and I hope somebody reports her since she's a registered sex offender. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowances made for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is the use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Remember to help me sign, and when y'all support me and when y'all advocate for our children, y'all are a part of the Child Abuse Advocates United. That's what I like to call it. And these two people have already been proven guilty in a court of law, okay? So we need to know that we need to learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed, take up the cause of the fatherless, and plead the case of the widow. Without further ado, let me share my screen. Excuse me. This is the AG announces convictions for sex crimes against child. So this is where we got this other guy's name in there, even though I had trouble finding his picture. Lieutenant Zachary Mullins. The Attorney General conviction for sex crimes against a child, Montgomery, Alabama. Attorney General Luther Strange announced the conviction of a man for sex crimes against a child in Morgan County. Zachary Mullins, 24, of Hartselle, pled guilty on December the 1st to one count of second-degree rape and one count of second-degree sodomy. He was sentenced on December the 5th to 10 years for each of the two convictions to be served concurrently. He was ordered to serve 3 years in prison, followed by 7 years of probation and registration as a sex offender. The Attorney General's office presented evidence to a Morgan County grand jury in 2009, resulted in indictments against Mullins and a woman who has already been convicted and sentenced to her crimes. Jessica Heather DeFore, which was her name before she married, this was her maiden name, was sentenced in March 2010 to 6 years for the Class C felony of enticing a child for sexual purposes. She was ordered to serve 2 years in prison, followed by 5 years of supervised probation. But in mind, she was a teacher. Okay. In addition, she was sentenced to 12 months to be served concurrently for second-degree sexual abuse, and she will be required to register as a sex offender. The crimes of Mullins and DeFore were acts against the same child victim. The matter was discovered when the child shared information with a teacher and a school officials reported school officials reported it to authorities. Attorney General Strange commended Assistant Attorneys General Kelly Hawkins, Andrew Arrington, and Stephanie Billingslea, as well as special agents of the Investigations Division. He also thanked the fallen agencies for assistance: the Decatur and Hartselle Police Departments, the Morgan County Child Advocacy Center, the Morgan County Board of Education, the Morgan County District Attorney's Office, the Morgan County Sheriff's Office, the Alabama Department of Human Resources, and the United States Air Force Office of Special Investigations at Vandenberg Air Force Base. My oldest son was stationed there before. Okay, so let's go right here. This is going to burn y'all up, okay? Sorry about that. It's going to really make y'all mad. Former Morgan County teacher paid $122,876 during leave related to the sex crimes. So the taxpayers, you Alabamians, guess what? Y'all paid her. They're using your tax dollars to pay this teacher money that she was on leave for these sex crimes. How wrong is that? This is Jessica Heather DeFore is awaiting an arbitration hearing on her firing, which this is done took place. Okay, just wanted to get this information about how. So I'm not for the Morgan County schools when they went ahead and kept her on administration pay. Hey, Chris, good to see you. A former elementary school teacher convicted of sex crimes in February had received $122,876 in salary from Morgan County schools while on paid administrative leave for the past 34 months, the Decatur Daily reported. The newspaper said Jessica Heather DeFore, 36, has continued to be paid about $3,614 a month since she was put on leave nearly 3 years ago after being accused of having a sexual encounter with an 18-year-old and his 14-year-old sister and buying alcohol for them. A jury found DeFore guilty in February of second-degree sexual abuse and enticing a child for immoral purposes. Morgan County Circuit Court Judge Steve Haddock sentenced her to 2 years in prison. DeFore was out on $30,000 appeal bond. The Morgan County School Board voted April the 20th to fire DeFore and now awaits an arbitration hearing to determine if the firing was justified. I would say it's justified, wouldn't y'all? DeFore was accused of giving the 14-year-old girl an alcoholic beverage and having sex with the girl's 18-year-old brother with the girl in the room. Criticism over teachers continuing to be paid after convictions and even imprisonment prompted the legislature to pass a law this year revising the Alabama's teacher tenure law. It terminates a teacher's employment and pay upon conviction of a Class A felony such as murder, first-degree rape, first-degree arson, first-degree robbery, and first-degree burglary. The law has allowed fired teachers to be paid until an arbitrator upheld their termination, and courts held that arbitration hearings could be delayed while the teacher fights the case in court. In a widely reported case, a Washington County teacher serving a 10-year federal prison sentence for child enticement received more than $164,000 in pay and retirement benefits after being suspended due to the charges. Charlene Smith, accused of having sex with a 14-year-old student, continued being paid in prison until her license was revoked last year in a proceeding that set a precedent in the state. How wrong is that for them to continue being paid? It's our tax dollars, right? Here she is right here. Jessica Hyde. Her last known address was in Haleyville. I'm going to show y'all something else that's going to upset y'all, okay? This is the nearby schools. I bet if she is still there. She is allowed to go into a school today. I mean, she's getting away with going inside the school, okay? So this judge sentenced this Morgan County teacher convicted of sex crimes. Here she is, back when she was D4, her maiden name. A judge sentenced Morgan County teacher convicted of sex crimes to prison. Jessica Heather DeFore apologized in court Tuesday morning before the judge ordered her to prison. She said she was sorry for the harm to the family and her bad choices. No, you're sorry you got caught, okay? Because you still think that you deserve to still remain as a teacher. DeFore was sentenced to 6 years for the Class C felony of enticing a child for sexual purposes. DeFore was ordered to serve 2 years in prison and would be subject to serving the remaining 4 years of her sentence in prison if she violated the terms of 5 years of supervised probation. She was also sentenced to 12 months for the Class A misdemeanor of second-degree sexual abuse. The sentences are to run concurrently. In addition, she will be required to register as a convicted sex offender after her release from prison. Okay, she's on a registered offender list. Is she not supposed to be around schools today? Is she not supposed to be around? She's not supposed to be around kids. She shouldn't be going to the schools, right? Ay, ay, ay. Prosecutor Andrew Arrington called it a fair sentence based on her criminal history. I believe each sex offender should get the maximum. But letting them out on early bond and stuff like that, I think it's wrong. You should say no bond. So that's not fair to us, okay? This woman deserves to spend time in prison for victimizing the young girl. Also, how about contributing to the delinquency of a minor since she gave her alcohol? Where's that charge? She needed to be prosecuted on everything that she did wrong, okay, concerning this child and other children, possibly. That this woman deserves to spend time in prison for victimizing this young girl instead of protecting her, as teachers are expected to do. She robbed the child of her innocence, said Attorney General King. Children are vulnerable and deserve our protection from those who would take such wicked advantage of them. Our Family Protection Unit is dedicated to this important mission, and we are committed to safeguarding the children of Alabama from those who would abuse and harm them. Well, do it. Stop letting them out of jail. Stop giving them a slap on the wrist. If you are really dedicated to the important mission of safeguarding the children of Alabama from those who would abuse and harm them, do more about it. Do more. Don't just say it. Actions speak louder than words. Before admitted to taking a 14-year-old girl to concerts and providing her with alcohol. DeFore admitted that the child was present in her home on an evening in February 2006, that she served the child alcohol, and that she had sexual intercourse with a man while the child was in the house. The child testified that DeFore subjected her to sexual contact and invited her into the bedroom where she enticed her in an attempt to engage in further sexual contact. The child testified that she did not do so, but that DeFore had sexual intercourse with a man in the same room where the child was. A jury convicted DeFore on February 11, 2010. The crime was discovered when the victim shared the information with a teacher, and school officials reported the matter to authorities. Thank you so much, whoever the teacher was. Thank you. I appreciate you doing something about it, not just sweeping it under the rug. Attorney General King's Family Protection Unit presented evidence to a Morgan County grand jury, resulting in DeFore's indictment on July the 23rd, 2009. Parents whose children had DeFore as a teacher were surprised about the whole situation. I have a daughter that had her in the fourth grade, who's in the 10th grade now, and never dreamed that we'd ever see this. Never dreamed it. She was great with my children, said Alexis Knowlton. Never know what goes behind closed doors, right? You think about it in a big city, but you don't think about it in Danville, said parent Greg Birdwell. It lets you know things happen everywhere. It's kind of strange, especially when all your kids had her as a teacher and they liked her, and you never know. Excuse me, I lived in Morgan County, okay? That's one of the areas I lived in. So it does not surprise me at all for this to happen. Basically anywhere, right? Before remains on administrative leave with a pay from her job. Let's skip past this, okay? Oh, wow, I didn't see this part. That's in Kansas, and look at that. Wow. Anybody that does a podcast, please get on this one right here with 2 arrests and a toddler's death in Leavenworth, Kansas. Tara Huerter and Kenneth Hedgecock. Okay. So let's go to the Facebook post. This is what really upsets me, okay? Okay. Registered sex offender, previous teacher, putting original article of charges in the comments. Worth a read. Okay. Allegedly, businesses allow her to set up and do handprint ornaments with children at Christmas, as well as blue jean painting with teenagers. Allegedly, she has been seen on the elementary school campus, sent in from a follower that received a card in the mail about her being an offender. Here is the picture right here with her being right there with the blue jean painting around our children. Heather read the whirlwind. Good to see you. Look at that. There she is right there. And with her being registered sex offender, what is she doing allowed around our kids? What is she doing allowed to do Christmas ornaments and stuff like that with our kids? She should not be around any children whatsoever. Boy, this really makes you mad. So this is the other person involved in this, and it gives more detail as well about this whole case. There's 2 different items here. Okay, as we bring you this cautionary tale, we will immediately answer the question posed in today's topic. This is Lieutenant Zachary W. Mullins, a sex offender. Okay, this was at Shoal and Speaks blog at blogspot.com, giving her credit. For those who may not be aware, second-degree rape turns statutory rape, and some states simply decreases that any sexual intercourse involving a person not yet old enough to give legal consent or too mentally impaired to give each such consent is second-degree rape in Alabama. The legal age of consent is 16, and the offender in the first scenario must be at least 2 years older than the victim. A man who has reached the age of 18 is definitely 2 years older than his 15-year-old victim. Hold on a minute while I stop sharing for a second to get past that page right there, because it is graphic, and it has nothing to do with this case. And I do not want to share that with y'all and traumatize anyone, okay? So let me get back to this. Hey there, Carlene. Good morning. I do not want to traumatize y'all with that. So Mullins is the son of Michael A. and Angela R. Mullins of Garrison Road in Hartselle. He's a graduate at Danville High School and Auburn University. Currently, he's serving as a second lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force at Vandenberg in California. This was, of course, years ago. He's no longer serving now, okay? Where he lives with his wife, Paulette, the daughter of Deborah Baker of Swansboro, Alabama. That is, he lived there with his wife until Alabama Attorney General Troy King had Mullins arrested earlier this week after a Morgan County grand jury indicted him on multiple sex crimes. Specifically, the grand jury indicted the Air Force officer on 2 counts of having sex with a 15-year-old while he was 18 years old. So that was the brother. This was her brother. So evidently that teacher brought her brother over for this guy to victimize him, sodomize him, okay? Well, he was 18 years of age and 1 count involving a sexual encounter with the same victim after Mullins had attained the age of 19. Mullins is currently in a Santa Barbara County jail awaiting extradition, which he's, he was extradited. Perhaps the most disturbing element in this indictment is the fact that Mullins was not the lone target of the grand jury. Jessica Heather DeFore, that was her maiden name, a former second grade teacher from Decatur, Alabama, and Morgan County, was also indicted for related crimes. While Attorney General King refuses to comment further on the connection between DeFore and Mullins. DeFore, who at the time taught at Neal Elementary School in Danville, is charged with enticing the young woman for immoral purposes. Well, 14-year-old young teen. Sources who are familiar with the indictment have stated that DeFore provided Mullins with an unnamed youth with access to a bedroom in her home and alcohol with which to seduce the young. I'm not going to say a young woman because she is not a. You need to say she's still a child, okay? That makes it look like it's okay when you present her as a young woman, okay? If this can be proved, the charges against Mullins may be later upgraded to first degree rape. Both DeFore and Mullins were indicted in July. DeFore was arrested in August, but authorities were not able to track Mullins down until this month. He was arrested October the 20th, and King expects extradition proceedings to begin by the end of the week. Mullins faces a possible 20-year prison sentence. DeFore faces a sentence for up to 10 years. Thanks to the Alabama tenure system, Jessica Heather DeFore, who has been on leave since the charges first brought to the attention of police in 2007, is still drawing a state salary. But not no more. They got her fired. They stopped. They changed the law. So let's get to this other one over here, okay? Okay, said Zachary Mullins charged because a flag team row. See, this is the girl right here. On October 29th, and so some people want to say that it's probably because she got mad because she was kicked off the team. And it makes you wonder why she kicked her off the team, maybe because of the girl refused to do something with that adult. Okay? I really feel like that's possibly the reason, okay? Our October 29th blog on the indictment of Morgan County teacher Jessica Heather DeFore and Air Force Lieutenant Zachary W. Mullins told it like it is. If an 18 and 19-year-old male has sex with a 15-year-old girl, he's guilty of second degree rape in the state of Alabama. If a jury of his peers finds Mullins to be guilty, he will remain branded a sexual predator the rest of his life and have to register as such, no matter where in the United States he may move. As to what will become of the new Air Force career, we don't know, since the incident happened before Mullins was commissioned upon his graduation from Auburn University. Perhaps the Air Force will consider all the circumstances and allow Mullins to retain his rank and status in the branch of service. Y'all think he needed to retain his status in the? I don't think he should. Perhaps he may handed his walking papers along with a dishonorable discharge. That's what I'm upset about my father. Knowing that they knew that he victimized children and raped children while he was in the U.S. Army. He ended up with an honorable discharge. I could not believe it. Can you believe it? An honorable discharge. Wow. The three crimes of which Mullins and DeFore are charged occurred in 2006, but were not reported until 2007. There's no statute of limitations on such crimes, but many have questioned the year's delay in reporting these acts. I mean, no, you get afraid, like I didn't report mine till I had a lot that was hidden, and I certainly was not safe to tell anybody. But when I felt like I was safer, that's when I started speaking. Sales has specifically questioned why the 15-year-old victim was allowed unsupervised visits at the home of DeFore, a second grade teacher from the Danville Neal Elementary School. Upon further research, it seems Miss DeFore herself was the adult chaperone appointed by Danville High School. DeFore supervised what is commonly called a flag team, and it was not unusual for her to invite team members to her home for parties after practice. Whether the parents of the girls knew that DeFore also invited certain male students and graduates is unknown. Today's flag team bears little resemblance to the marching groups of years past. Large high schools field color guard, autumn guard, and winter guard teams, all of which compete in regional and national competitions. We feel if we delve deeply enough into the current world of high school sports activities, we'll find that even tiddlywinks has become a higher competitive. Now let's get past that little. Um, Flag team was still kind of a big deal to those who oversaw it, and those who could cut it were culled from the herd of marching, head bobbing flag twirlers. Several sources have reported to us that this was a case of the victim in the DeFore Mullins rape case. If true, it's sad that the victim, who had been so drugged that charges against Mullins will be elevated to first degree rape. So no need to report the crimes committed against her until DeFore booted her from the Danville flag team. Probably when she felt safer, okay? She knew she didn't have to go back around her. Of course, when you get rid of somebody, okay? Very sad indeed, but it makes Second Lieutenant Zachary W. Mullins no less guilty. Mullins, a commissioned officer for only a few weeks, arrived back in Alabama on Monday. He was released from the Morgan County Detention Center on $30,000 bond. Now, Danville High School authorities must ask the question: was a 15-year-old victim the only girl who became the object of DeFore and Mullins' sexual desires? Y'all, and there's other victims out there. Statute of limitations does not run out. Please, please get justice for yourself. Get it out there. Predators lurk everywhere, even in Danville. We're sure the local high school made what it thought was a good decision when they asked Heather DeFore to oversee the high school flag team. They were wrong. Our parents should watch this case very carefully and learn from it. So let's go over here to the part where this is an Air Force officer accused of sex crimes that allegedly occurred more than 3 years ago. Is back in Morgan County after his arrest at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California. Decatur Daily reports this was the 9th, November 2009. So Mullins faces second-degree sodomy, second-degree rape, and second-degree sexual abuse charges stemming from the incident authorities said occurred at the Decatur home of a Daniel Neal Elementary School. The mother of the minor female victim reported Mullins and teacher Jessica Heather DeFore inappropriately touched her daughter in February 2006, the Decatur Daily reported. DeFore was charged with second-degree sexual abuse and enticing a child under 16 with mischievous intent to propose an act of sexual intercourse, sodomy, or other sexual acts. This is a sick and twisted story. I hope all these pedos get what they rightly deserve. Thanks for the video. You're quite welcome. So make sure that you pass this around because this girl, this lady in Haleyville, is actually being allowed around our children to do ornaments, handprint ornaments. She is allowed to go to our schools. The schools are letting her go and paint blue jeans for the seniors. Okay. She should not ever be allowed on the premises of a school nor around kids. This is taboo. This is so wrong. So I hope some people around that area will report her. Please report her. Show the evidence. That's at Facebook where she posted it herself. And that center picture right there. Thank you to True True Crime for posting about her where I could get the information out there. But when I looked it up, that Attorney General also had Zachary Mullins, so she was also bringing in people to mess with these children, which is sickening, sick and twisted. But she ended up marrying sometime after these acts and became a Hyde. So I could really joke around and say Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, right? Or Mrs. Hyde. But if you look at the picture closely, that's her, and she is painting the blue jeans right here and helping them do blue jeans for the seniors. That might sound like a nice act or whatever, but still, you don't need predators that loves enticing, and that's bringing trust to our seniors. You know, who knows what she if she met any of those in person to try to finish projects, or well, let's go have a soda, or let's go to McDonald's and get you a Big Mac extra value meal, such and such. You know how kids are; they're easily to be manipulated. So y'all, please get this out there. And this girl deserves to go back to jail because I think that messes with her. She is a registered sex offender and going into our schools and being around the kids and doing ornaments. Defend and protect our kids. Alabama, you say you want to protect our kids, then do something about her. We demand it. We demand justice for our kids and protection for our kids from monsters like this. So we don't continue to let them get worse for our kids. Probably go missing for life, murdered, whatever happened to Bibb County. We don't know whether she ended up selling them to kids. We don't know whether she got money out of that guy. She could have. But thank you so much, everyone, and God bless y'all.